His Grace Kadambakanana Prabhu has been practicing teachings of Bhagavad Gita over 20 years. Prabhuji has been cultivated by His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu and His Grace Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj at ISKCON Chowpatty. He met his life partner at ISKCON Chowpatty, and currently both live in Canada and are initiated by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So both Kadambakanana Prabhu and Hemanga Gopi Mataji preached in Singapore, Malaysia, Maryland, Jacksonville, Alachua, and Windsor in Canada. And during his stay in Malaysia, he has had the service of translating His Holiness Jayapadaka Swami Maharaj's lectures to Tamil audiences a few times. And both of them love to share the Bhagavad Gita to new people. They are currently preaching many families in Windsor, Canada, and also conduct Tamil Bhagavad Gita classes to devotees in Tamil Nadu in India. He is also currently serving ISKCON Farmington Hills Temple at Michigan under the guidance of His Grace Jugal Kishore Prabhuji. So we will welcome Prabhuji with a very loud Hari Bol. Hari Bol! Hare Krishna, thank you so much Prabhuji for being with us, and you can take over.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much for your kind words. It's very encouraging. And I'll try my best. Someday I can reach all this, to the best of my capacity. Thank you, Prabhuji. And Hare Krishna, dear devotees, on behalf of ISKCON Connecticut, we welcome you all for this Sunday feast class. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and especially grateful to His Grace Pyari Mohan Prabhuji and Her Grace Jiva Mataji, the temple management, including Ganapati Govinda Prabhuji. Thank you all so much. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. So let's start with Jai Radha Madhava. I'll try to share the screen. Prabhuji, can you allow me to share the screen?
Go ahead, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maiya ki Jai. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maiya ki Jai, Shri Shri Gauranath ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna, once again, welcome you all for this Sunday feast class. I'm very grateful for the opportunity and my sincere gratitude to His Grace Pyari Mohan Prabhu and Her Grace Jiva Mataji and all the devotees assembled here. Let's start with Bhagavad Gita. Today we are going to discuss a verse from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse number 35. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 6, verse number 35. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asamshayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagena Chagriyate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Lord Sri Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and detachment. And a beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada. The difficulty of controlling the obstinate mind as expressed by Arjuna is accepted by the personality of Godhead. But at the same time, he suggests that by practice and detachment it is possible. What is that practice? In the present age, no one can observe the strict rules and regulations of placing oneself in a sacred place, focusing the mind on the supersoul, restraining the senses and mind, observing celibacy, remaining alone, etc. By the practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in 9 types of devotional service to the Lord. The first and foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna. This is a powerful transcendental method of purging the mind of all misgivings. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. By detaching the mind from activities not devoted to the Lord, one can very easily learn the Vairagya. Vairagya means detachment from matter and engagement of the mind and spirit. Impersonal spiritual detachment is more difficult than attaching the mind to the activities of Krishna. This is practical because by hearing about Krishna, one becomes automatically attached to the Supreme Spirit. This attachment is called Pareshanubhava, spiritual satisfaction. It is just like the feeling of satisfaction a hungry man has for every morsel of food he eats. The more one eats while hungry, the more one feels satisfaction and strength. Similarly, by discharge of devotional service, one feels transcendental satisfaction as the mind becomes detached from material objectives. It is something like curing a disease by expert treatment and appropriate diet. Hearing of the transcendental activities of Lord Krishna is therefore expert treatment for the mad mind, and eating the footstep ordered to Krishna is the appropriate diet for the suffering patient. This treatment is the process of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Let us invoke the blessings of all the previous Acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, all the previous Acharyas, the Supreme Lord, and all the assembled Vaishnavas. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksharun Militam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadhamayam Tadadisva Padandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadodam Parijana Sahidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpadarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. Very happy to be amongst all of you. It is my great fortune. I've heard about His Grace Pyare Mohan Prabhuji and Jiva Mataji from Ragasindhu Prabhu and also from Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji so much. I am eagerly longing for their association and to hear from them. So thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. I sincerely seek your blessings so that I can say something and please your divine lotus feet. Thank you. Today we are going to discuss this verse from Bhagavad Gita 6:35. This verse appears right after the very popular verse Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavadradam. Actually, Arjuna gives so many adjectives about the turbulent mind. He says mind is turbulent, restless, it is stubborn, it is obstinate, and it's very difficult to control. I can even control the raging wind, Krishna, but not my mind. That's Arjuna's answer. Then Krishna says this beautiful verse. He says, undoubtedly, Arjuna, I understand. It is very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible. Abhyasena tu kaunteya. He says it is possible by suitable practice and then detachment, vairagya. And Prabhupada beautifully says, what is vairagya? Vairagya is engaging our mind in spiritual activities, in spirit, and detaching from matter. I got this topic. Today I'm going to keep the title of Keeping Good Mental Health. In the Bhakti Rickshaw program where we have, in Windsor, Canada, one of the members is a psychiatrist. He's a very senior psychiatrist. He sent me a post which said about the current situation. He was actually mentioning that in the past 2 decades, this is the time, the psychiatric patients who have mental health issues is overwhelmingly increasing, and the doctors, the psychiatrists are completely burned out. So that was the post it mentioned, and it also mentioned that how it is so stressful for the doctors, and approximately around 350 to 400 doctors commit suicide every year. It was shocking to hear that. Actually, practically like 1 doctor a day commits suicide, and we all know it's considered a respectful and also very prosperous materially position, but still this happens. Why this happens? Because of extreme stress and anxiety. So we wanted to see how Bhagavad Gita can help us, how scriptures can help us to understand the solution for this problem. Bhagavad Gita, practically if you see, Arjuna had this problem. If we put ourselves in the shoes of Arjuna, we understand what a stress he had. It is extreme stress. He asked Krishna, can you please take me in between these 2 armies, Kauravas and Pandavas? And when he looked at the armies, he was completely overwhelmed with grief. He's seeing his grandfather who raised him as his father, and his guru, his relatives, his friends, everyone is right in front. And the thought of killing them and winning over them itself was giving so much stress. And in fact, in the first chapter, 28 to 30, the 3 verses talks about the symptoms Arjuna had. His limbs were quivering, mouth was drying up, his whole body was trembling, his hair on the body was standing up, his Gandiva bow was slipping, which we can see in the picture also, and skin was burning, and he was unable to stand. And he's saying, Krishna, I'm forgetting myself, my mind is reeling. And then he says, I don't see nothing but misfortune. If you see, these are the symptoms of extreme stress and anxiety disorders. So, I wanted to speak about how we can overcome the stress and mental health issues, applying the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. I got this topic, keeping good mental health, from His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. Once he gave a class to a group of university students, and one student asked at the end of the talk that, Maharaj, we students have a lot of stress and a lot of mental issues we have to go through. So could you give us 3 tips to keep positive mental state. So I liked the tips, which was so practical, and I liked it. So probably I thought, okay, let me take those 3 tips, and from there we will expand a little more. Okay. Bhagavad Gita, as we just saw, Arjuna is in such a situation, extreme stress, and he is asking questions to Arjuna. In second chapter, 7th verse, he surrenders, Karpanya dosho pahatta svabhava. He says, I can't do anything. Krishna, I'm completely bewildered. I am your surrendered disciple. Please help me with that. From 11th verse onwards, Krishna starts speaking. And in the 14th verse itself, Krishna says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkada. He talks about the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress. And he compares that with the weather patterns like summer and winter. Since they're also temporary, even the happiness and distress, they're also temporary. So just try to tolerate, Arjuna. Krishna says in the 4th verse itself, he starts speaking on 11th, in the 14th verse itself, he says. So let's see how we can move further. Bhagavad Gita is the first best self-help book. These days, the self-help books are quite popular, but we can't find anything better than Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, it stands out far ahead because Bhagavad Gita talks about inside-out approach. All the other methods, they talk about outside in, fixing the situations externally and then fixing it inside, which is actually speaking, it's not going to work. But Bhagavad Gita says from inside out, when we clean the inner ecology, inner environment, when it is clean, when it is purified, then it is easy to clear outside. So Bhagavad Gita does that inside out approach. And the scriptures also tell us, it's not just doesn't talk about karma, why do bad things happen to good people, but it tells us what do good people do when bad things happen to them. When they go through these extreme situations, how do they respond? They don't react, they respond accordingly. So how do they do it? So we will see that. So this is the one I was saying, one of my friend who sent, that said actually the mental illness before COVID, it was like 1 in 5%, like almost 20%, the incidence was 20% of people in America have some mental health problems. But after COVID, during June, CDC, we all know what is CDC, right? The CDC released this. They said around 40% of the people, adults especially, they have that struggle with mental health or substance use. So the number, if you see, it's almost double. It's quite alarming. And most of the mental health problems, if we see, I know it's a wide topic, but most of the problems are due to the huge distance between the expectation and reality. The distance of expectation and reality is huge. Because of that, many things pop up. We all understand mental illness, fitness is as important as physical fitness. How keeping the body healthy is very important. Similarly, mental health is also very, very important because mind is like a sponge. We heard from Bhagavad Gita, mind is just a storehouse of thoughts, experiences, impressions, and desires. Like a sponge, how it absorbs water or any liquid. Similarly, whatever we see, whatever we experience, everything is absorbed there. And mind tells us what it feels like doing. But the intelligence knows and tells us what to do, what not to do. So whom are we supposed to listen? The intelligence. But many times we are succumbed to the mind's demands because senses pull us and the sixth sense, mind follows that and we go behind. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, the same mind, sometimes it can be an enemy, sometimes it is a friend. And many times it is an enemy because it is taking us away from the real reality. So there is a saying, they say if you want to, the best way to deal with the person, who is inimical is to make him as friend. Then there is no enmity. Similarly, if we convert our mind by purifying it, because controlling the mind is very difficult even for Arjuna in the previous yuga, who is a pure devotee, who had performed so many penance and austerities, and he says, I can't control my mind. Krishna, it's very difficult. And we are simple mortal beings. What is our choice? What is our situation? So it's very difficult. But purifying the mind, it's very much possible. Controlling is difficult, but by purifying, it's automatically controlled. So let's see how we do that. The best way to purify our mind is to expose our mind to the supreme pure. Pavitram idam uttamam. Who is Pavitram idam uttamam? Is Krishna. When we expose our mind to Krishna, then the purification is very, very effective. So this point we want to, keep in our mind. When we have inner peace and happiness, then nothing external would affect us. Bhagavad Gita says that you cannot have happiness if there is no peace. So we need to have inner peace and happiness, then nothing external will affect us. Just like a building which requires foundation, proper foundation, similarly, we also need to have inner foundation. Why we need to have proper foundation? So that it can withstand all the weather conditions. Similarly, in life also there are so many problems, so many storms, so many earthquakes comes in life. I'm talking about the problems, the different degrees and different intensities of problems. But if we have a process, if we have strong foundation and the process to protect ourselves, then we can withstand all the situation and keep our mental health stable. So these are the three tips Radhanath Maharaj mentioned. First one, keep good association and company. And the second one, make positive choices every single day. And then have a spiritual sadhana or practice. If you see the GPS, actually this is a real GPS for our life. When do we need GPS? When we don't know where we are going, when we don't know the directions, proper directions. When we have GPS, it is easy, that guides us, we just follow it. Similarly, this GPS can really help us. What is that? Keeping good association, making positive choices every day, every time, and have a spiritual sadhana practice. Very important. So let's see one by one. Keeping good association. We all know, many of us are parents. We watch our kids, right? We watch whom they are talking to, whom they are associating with. Why? Because we know association will influence. However strong they say, they may claim to be, doesn't matter. But eventually they will succumb to association. So if we associate with people who have good intentions and spiritual mindset, then we go positively. If not, it is very difficult. So this association, good association, will help us to see the positive, feel the positive, and help us to make positive choices, which is the second tip. So we're going to talk about this by the example of two personalities. One is Bhaumasura, who is also called as Narakasur. We all know Narakasur. When Narakasur was killed, that is one of the reasons Deepavali is celebrated, of the three reasons. And second personality is Vibhishan, who is the brother of Ravan, one of the brothers of Ravan, who is a pure devotee. Bhaumasur. Let's talk about Bhaumasur first. We all know Bhauma. Bhaumasur, who is he? He is the son of Bhumi Devi. Yes. And who is his father?
Varaha.
Varaha. Thank you. Varahadev. And Varahadev is his father. Can you imagine? He is the son of the Supreme Lord, Varahadev, and Mother Bhumi Devi. And why do we call him as Bhauma Asura? The word Asura means Asura. Radheshyam Prabhu says this definition, Asura. Asu means immediate, ramante, gratification. One who wants immediate gratification, immediate pleasure. That person is called Asura, a demoniac person. Why do we call him? He is the son of Supreme Lord. It is because of his bad association with Banasur. Banasur is a demon. He had 1,000 arms, and we read about Banasur in Krishna book. And he fought with Krishna. And this person, Banasur, because of his demoniac tendencies, and Bhaumasur, who was a powerful person, somehow got attracted to Banasur and they became good friends. And because of his influence, he also became demoniac. And this is the demons do. Demons always grab things. And the Devatas, what do? They work hard. By merits they get and they enjoy. But the demons, what do? They just go grab and enjoy. That is the difference. They just grab from others, snatch from others and enjoy. So what did he do once? Bhaumasur, he went to the heavenly planet and he literally stole the umbrella of Kuvera and the earrings of Aditi and the Mani Parvata mountain, which is the playground for the demigods. He stole all these three and took away, just casually. And this actually, made Indra so much affected, because it is not just he stole earrings. He can buy earrings. It's not a big problem, because Indra is heavenly king. He's the king of the heaven. For him to buy an earring is not a problem. But the honor is attached, honor and respect. Whose earring is stolen? Aditi. Who is Aditi? Mother of King Indra. So it is attached to his honor. So he couldn't take it. It was too much for him to bear with. So what did he do? He approached the Supreme Lord. He went to Dwaraka and said, "Oh Krishna, please help." And Krishna immediately, "Okay, I understand the situation. The atrocities of Baumasura is getting beyond now. So it is time to finish it off." So he, along with Mother Satyabhama, they sat on Garuda and they started charging towards Pragjotishpura. That is the place Baumasur, present day northeast part of Assam area. So they approached there. And if you read the pages of Bhagavatam for this Narakasur's kingdom, it's very amazing, the 10th canto. In fact, the security system which Baumasur had, the layers of security, he had a very strong fort, well secured, and around that he had 5 layers of security. And he also had a demon called Mura. So it was very well protected. So the Lord, along with Mother Satyabhama in Garuda, they came. And what happened? They had to literally break through the 5 fortifications which were made by 5 elements. And first it was the rock fortification, and Lord had to use his weapons. He had to use his arrows for a few things. He had to use his club. He had to use his disc and finish one by one. The weapons, unmanned weapon, fortification by unmanned weapon, by water, by fire, and by wind. And also he had a Mura. The Mura demon had a Mura Pasha wire, something like, electric fence kind of. So all these were very, very powerful. And Krishna destroyed all those things. And in the moat around the fort, moat is like a water body, which is also a protection, another layer of protection, which was around the fort of Narakasur. There was a demon called Mura. He came out and he got so angry. Who is this fellow disturbing us? So he started charging. And first, initially, Mura attacked the Lord with trident. Then he threw his club. And Lord, he used 2 arrows at a time. And he made the trident to 3 pieces. And then he threw the club. And then he attacked with his fist. I'll just say the story a little short, so because we can move on further. So he finished and he used his disc and killed Mura demon. So Krishna got the name Murari because he killed the demon Mura. And by hearing this, the Mura's sons, he had 7 sons, Tamra, Antariksha, Shravana, Vibhava, Suvasu, Nabaswan, Aruna, all these 7 sons under the commandership of Pita. They came out and they got so furious. They charged against Krishna. And Krishna effortlessly finished all of them. If we read the description, how this battle happened, this is one of the amazing battle. And whatever, battle we see in our present day world in movies or animated movies, they are all like minuscule. But this battle is so amazing, so enlivening, and so endearing to hear that actually. And then what happened? All the 7 sons were killed and Pita was killed. Narakasur thought, enough is enough. I got to come out and fight now. So he came along with a huge army of elephants, powerful elements, and he came and attacked. Who is he attacking? He's attacking his own father, mother. And he came out and he attacked. And similarly, he also had a Shatagni weapon, and he used his lances. And then finally used the Shakti lance. And Krishna finished all of them with his weapons. And finally used his Sudarshan Chakra and killed Narakasur also. What do we understand from this? Why did Narakasur did all these things? It is because of his bad association. Because of that, Bauma become Baumasur. Asura, Bauma Asura. All this happened if he had because he made a wrong choice by associating with Banasur. So association is very, very important. And what happened to Vibhishan on the other end? Vibhishan, he was born in the family of demons. He was one of the brothers of Ravana. Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Vibhishan, and Karadushan and many. But this Vibhishan, he's always pure-hearted. He's always worshipping the Supreme Lord. At a point when he was trying to give a good counsel to Ravana, Ravana got so mad. Vibhishan, whose side are you taking? You are taking the side of an enemy. He said, Vibhishan, enough is enough. You get out of my kingdom. If it was somebody else, I would have killed them. But you are my brother, so I don't want to kill you. But don't be in my sight. Get out. I don't want to even see you. Just imagine, we all understand the situation. For all of us, losing job is a big stress. See here, Vibhishan was in the royal assembly. He was one of the, if we say like a prince, he was. He had that power and respect. Everything is gone. And not only that, Ravana said, you got to get out of this kingdom. That means he doesn't have any kingdom also now, where to live. So he's completely like, empty-handed. There's nothing. He was totally stripped of everything. And what did Vibhishan do at that time? This is the wonderful scriptures tell us. What do great devotees do when calamities occur to them? When big stressful situation occur to them, how do they respond? And how did Vibhishan respond? Vibhishan didn't say, oh, I'm sorry, Ravan, I did a mistake. Let me change my thoughts. No, I just reconsidered. I'll just listen to you. He didn't do that. He actually stood to his principles. He said, okay, then he left. And where did he come? He didn't go anywhere. He came straight to Lord Ram's divine lotus feet. He came and surrendered himself to Lord Ram. And Vibhishan Sharanagati is one of the very popular topic in spiritual circles. And this Vibhishan Sharanagati is being glorified year after year after year. It's so amazing. Vibhishan came, and what happened to him? Lord Ram embraced him. And what did he do at the end after the battle? Vibhishan was giving good counsel throughout the battle in Ramayana. We know, especially all the crucial points and the crucial situation. Vibhishan gave an amazing counsel. Lord Ram, along with the army, they won. They killed Ravan. They finished Ravan's practically the whole dynasty. And what did Lord Ram do? He made Vibhishan as the Lankadipati. He is now the new emperor of the Lanka. Lord Ram coronated him. And he remained so devoted, completely fixed on the thoughts of Lord Ram. Two people. One, bad association. What happened to Narakasur? Even though he was the Supreme Lord's son, he got killed. He was stripped of all the opulences he had. The other side, even though he was born in a demon's family, he gained the love for Supreme Lord. That is the Premadhana. The highest wealth is to get the love of Godhead. And he got it. And Lord Ram was so pleased with him. So the association is very, very important. So it is our responsibility. The good association will take us a long way in our spiritual life, in our life as such. And then second point is make positive choices every day. Human life is a junction. This is Durlava Manav Janma, very rare human life. And every time we are in a situation that we need to make a choice. So it is our responsibility to make positive choices every time. We know what is right, what is wrong. We need to make the right choices all the time. Because like how association is important, similarly the choices we make at every moment will help us to progress forward. Sometimes, we heard, many times the material solutions give bigger problems. We heard that. In the 7th canto also it is mentioned in the Prahlad Maharaj section. The material problems, many times in the solution which we give to the material problems, give bigger problems. Let's see an example. Some of you might have heard this. This was told by Gaurang Prabhu. He said there is something called Cobra effect in management circles. During the British Rajya, when the British was ruling India, and around Delhi, there were a lot of cobras. Cobras are poisonous snakes, as we all know. And British somehow wanted to get rid of the snakes, the cobras. So they thought, easy way is, if somebody brings the head of the dead cobra, then we will give them a prize, a bounty. So the British announced, okay, so whoever brings the dead head of cobra, they will get a bounty. So this news spread and people started bringing, they started killing cobras and brought the head to the government and they got money. Then it appeared that the number of cobras were reducing significantly. And after some time, people are people, right? So they thought, see, we get money. We don't have to work hard. We just have to kill a cobra and bring the head to government. So what they did, they started actually having a farm, cobra farms. They started breeding cobras. So what happens in a farm? The number of cobras are so high. So what they would do, whenever the farmers needed money, they would kill cobra and take the head and bring it to the government and get money. The government realized what is happening. Initially, we thought the numbers were decreasing. Now it seems to be too high. When they did some investigation, they understood these people are having cobra farms and they are breeding cobras. The government said, this is not going to work. They said, let's stop the bounty. Let's stop the price. No more price for cobra heads. So what did they do? They stopped the price. And then these farmers, what will they do with cobra if there is no price for cobra head? So they said they let go of all the cobras from their farm. Now all the cobras were inside farm. They all came out to the society. The number of cobras increased. So the material solution many times bring bigger problem. This is one of the example. They call this as cobra effect. So we need to be very careful. See, we are in a situation like a dark well, deep dark well. If somebody falls into the situation, into this well, can he climb by himself? No. Just look at this well. It's not possible to climb by himself. But if he fixes his mind on Krishna, Krishna can literally, this is an analogy where we are saying is the situation is like dark well, but if we worship Krishna and follow his orders, then he throws a rope. With that rope, we can catch and climb up the well. So let's see what we mean by that. Okay, now the question comes. We just saw material solutions. Most of the times gives rise to bigger problems. We have seen that with all these inventions. What we thought internet is a huge invention. Yes, it is very helpful. But where it is used mostly, we all know. So what do? Where do we get proper guidance from? We get proper guidance from bona fide spiritual master. Who says this? Krishna in 434, 4th chapter, 34th. One of the most important verses. He says, Tadviti pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnana jnaninas tattva darshinaha. He says, pariprashnena sevaya. Just try to approach a spiritual master, surrender to him. And he says, pariprashnena sevaya. You have to submissively ask questions from him. And more importantly, sevaya. And do service to the spiritual master. And what happens? Because the spiritual master knows the truth, he can impart the knowledge, real knowledge to the disciple. So it is very, very important that we submit to spiritual master and get proper guidance from him. So Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada is an amazing and a very pure spiritual master who guided millions of souls, not only guided, still guiding and will be guiding through his books, through his lectures. And by fixing our mind on Krishna, which is the most powerful way to purify our mind, Prabhupada emphasized that. How do we do that? Let's see with 2 examples. This is for positive choices. We are talking about the second point of making positive choices every time. We're talking about 2 personalities and how they made choices in their life. First, we'll talk about Ramchandra Puri. Ramchandra Puri in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that section in the Antyalila, when we read about Ramchandra Puri, we understand he is a disciple of the great Madhavendra Puri. Who is Madhavendra Puri? Is the grand guru of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And such a great personality Madhavendra Puri is. And Ramchandra Puri is one of his disciples. And he got the opportunity to be very close and serve him. But this Ramchandra Puri, first point, he made a bad choice of associating with Mayavadis. Because of that, his mind got corrupted. How? Just like, our computers get virus and get corrupted. Similarly, because of the association of Mayavadis, the impersonalist, his mind got corrupted. And because of that, what did he do? This Madhavendra Puri, he's a great devotee. And he would always be completely meditating on Krishna and being in that, such a high and prema stage. And he would recite these prayers all the time. This particular prayer is mentioned twice. It appears in Madhyalila also and also in Antyalila. Very nice prayer. Ayidina Dayadra Nathe. In that he says, Oh my Lord, oh my merciful Master, oh Master of Mathura, when shall I see you again? Because my not seeing you, my agitated heart has been unsteady. Oh my most beloved one, what shall I do now? So this prayer, he was meditating and chanting with a lot of tears and he was crying for the mercy of the Lord. And what did this Ramchandra Puri did? He didn't understand that his Guru Maharaj is in very high elevated stage. And he went, approached his Guru Maharaj, who is Madhavendra Puri, and said, Tumi Purna Brahmananda Kareh Smarana Brahma Vidhana Kene Karaharodana. He said, if you are in transcendental bliss, you should remember only Brahman. Why are you crying? You shouldn't be crying now. He didn't understand that he is in a very high stage of bhakti and he is experiencing this ecstasy. In that he is crying. And he is saying, like, how he misunderstood the Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Nashochati Nakangshati. So you shouldn't be crying. You should meditate on Brahman, impersonal Brahman. Madhavendra Puri got furious, very angry at him. He said, "Oh, sinful rascal, get out of this place. I don't want to see your face." So he literally kicked him out. Ramchandra Puri. Madhavendra Puri sent Ramchandra Puri out. He did Guru Aparadh now. He did an offense to his Guru Maharaj. And because of that, what happened? That extended further. He is a sannyasi. He is very well respected. And all the devotees respect him because he's in that sannyasa ashram. And what he would do, he would invite devotees and he will feed them sumptuously. He would force them, eat more, eat more, eat more. And once they ate nicely, then he would criticize them. What kind of a devotee are you? You are eating more than what is necessary. And this is not the way, like that. So many devotees understood. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is actually the disciple of Ishwar Puri, and he considers Ramchandra Puri as his Guru Maharaj god brother. So he would give equal respect to him. With honor, he would always pay obeisances and listen to him. This Ramchandra Puri, he will always find an opportunity to criticize Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he was getting more popular and everyone is worshipping him. So he invited Mahaprabhu once and he fed him sumptuously. And then he said, "What kind of a sannyasi you are? You should be performing penances and austerities, but you are eating too much. This is not good for you," like that. So he would do first and then, he would criticize the devotees. He criticized the Supreme Lord, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Radha and Krishna. And then, Mahaprabhu immediately, he didn't, retaliate back, or he didn't say anything bad about Ramchandra Puri. He said, "What he's saying is correct, so let me reduce my eating." He drastically reduced his eating, which pained the heart of the devotees. The devotees' hearts were so painful because Mahaprabhu was eating very, very little. So this went on. And now Mahaprabhu is reduced eating, so he cannot criticize. So what he would do, sometimes he would come and see the ground and see, "Look at these, there are string of ants crawling around. That means this sannyasi must be eating sweets without anybody's knowledge." So what kind of a sannyasi he is, then again he would criticize. He criticized his Guru Maharaj, he criticized the devotees, he criticized the Supreme Lord. What do you think will happen to him? Eventually, Chaitanya Charitamrita says he suffered. He lost everything. He lost his material and spiritual opulences which he had. He had the opportunity to serve his Guru Maharaj. He lost that. He had the opportunity to serve devotees. Everything he lost, and he suffered terribly. This is Ramachandra Puri because even though he had a great association, good association, but he made negative choice. And the next personality is Ishwara Puri. Ishwara Puri is god brother of Ramachandra Puri. And Ishwara Puri is also a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, but he is so humble, so dedicated, completely determined to serve his spiritual master. He perfectly followed that verse, "Tat vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya." He would, in the pages of Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is mentioned how he was nursing Madhavendra Puri during his final pastimes. Madhavendra Puri was about to, leave this planet and go back to the spiritual world. Ishwara Puri was perfectly nursing his spiritual master. He was taking care of all his needs, cleaning himself, and he would sit and chant for his spiritual master. He would sit and recite and read from the scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam. And he was taking care of his spiritual master, serving him very nicely. And what happened to him? And Madhavendra Puri was so happy, so pleased with him. Tushtahana Puri Tandre Kaila Alingana Varadila Krishna Tomar Hauka Premadhana. He said, pleased with Ishwar Puri, Madhavendra Puri embraced him. He gave a tight embrace and said, "Oh Ishwar Puri, I am so pleased with you." And he gave him the benediction that you would be a great devotee and lover of Krishna. Such an amazing high benediction. You will be a great devotee of Krishna. Not only that, you will be a great lover of Krishna. This is Ishwara Puri. And Ishwara Puri, that's why by hearing the glories, by knowing the glories, Supreme Lord, He is the super soul in everybody's heart. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, He accepted that Ishwara Puri as His own spiritual master. And He showed the world the glories of Ishwara Puri. He made positive choices every moment in his life. And where he is now, he got the pure devotion and love for Krishna by the costless mercy of spiritual master Madhavendra Puri. Whereas the first person, Ramchandra Puri, he did a bad choice, and because of that, he had to suffer terribly. This place is in Kumarahatta. This is the birthplace of Ishwar Puri. Mahaprabhu, when he would go there and he would pick up the earth from that place and he would wrap it nicely in his cloth and keep it with himself on his dhoti. And every day Mahaprabhu would take little bit of dust from there and he would honor it with great devotion and great respect for his spiritual master. That was the glory of Ishwarapuri. Mahaprabhu, worshipped him with such love and devotion to show the world the glory of Ishwarapuri. By seeing Mahaprabhu's example, thousands of devotees would come to Kumarahatta and they would take the dust from there. Because of that, it became a huge pit. And when it is filled with water, it became like a Doba, Chaitanya Doba it is called. It's a pool of water. Chaitanya Doba, it is even there in Kumarahatta, the birthplace of Ishwarapuri. That is the glory of Ishwarapuri, who made positive choices every time. Now let's move on to the next step. What is the third tip? Is having a strong spiritual practice. First one, good association. Second one, making positive choices every day, every time, and having a strong spiritual practice. We are all so fortunate. Under the guidance of Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada personally devised his own perfect program for us. It's a complete package. We don't find this package anywhere else. Everything is there in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness for one to perfect his life without much difficulty. He has made it so wonderful because the previous generation of devotees, such as His Grace Pyari Mohan Prabhu, Jiva Mataji, all of them, they worked so hard for us. We are only enjoying the fruits. They set up everything. Every day there is a morning program. We go to any temple, any ISKCON temples, any Hare Krishna temples in the world, 4:30 Mangalarati, followed by Tulsi Puja. Then we have chanting, then we have Guru Puja, Shringar Darshan, then we have Bhagavatam class every single day. We have a complete package. And we have services in the temple. This is a perfect practice which everybody can follow and it is practical. And we know there are so many storms in life. So many problems may come. So many problems are there. But when we do these practices, spiritual practices given by Srila Prabhupada, we can prepare ourselves perfectly so that our mental health can be stable all the time. Say, we were in Florida. In 2017, there was a huge hurricane called Hurricane Irma, which was a Category 5 hurricane. And those of you who heard and lived in Florida, we know what it is, what is a hurricane is. The whole situation was panicky. And the government, in each county, they would give alerts and they would give instructions what to do, what not to do, everything. And everyone was in such a stressful, panicky situation. We were literally following. There are, houses, those who were in mobile homes, they were shifted to with stable structures and so many instructions. And everybody followed. Why? Because they can be protected and they can have a stable structure. Prahlad Maharaj, he says in the 7th canto, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. He says about the 9 processes of devotional service and how Prabhupada beautifully incorporated all these things and gave us a perfect program for us. Just by following the program which Prabhupada gave us, we can definitely, without any doubt, perfect our life and achieve the highest perfection, Krishna Prema. And the first one starts with hearing. Does anyone know who this person is? Does anyone know who this person? Many of you may not know. In 2090s, he was called Gundappa Vishwanath. He was one of the very famous cricketer. And in fact, before the Kapil Dev era, he was most popular. Why we don't know about him? Why only few know? Because we haven't heard about him. Only when we know, when we read, when we hear, then we may appreciate his accomplishments. We don't know, so we may not appreciate. So important, very important for us to hear, especially from advanced devotees, that the glories of Krishna and his devotees, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, when we hear from such pure-hearted souls, advanced devotees, that will have a great impact. And all those unwanted things will go away. That says the beautiful verse in Bhagavatam, right? Nirmat Saranam. All unwanted things will go away by hearing from devotees who are advanced. Right? That is very, very important. Hearing is most important. Only through hearing we'll get to know who is Krishna. That's why Prabhupada every single day he would have Srimad Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada emphasized all his disciples they should attend. They must attend Srimad Bhagavatam class. Because of his mercy, we have thousands of lectures of Srila Prabhupada. So we can hear and perfect our life. So hearing is the utmost important. First step in perfecting spiritual life is hearing. And then Next comes chanting. We know in Kali Yuga, there is only one Mahat Guna. Kalir dosha niderajan astiki eko Mahat Guna. One good quality. Otherwise, Kali Yuga is full of faults. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can completely become freed from all the material bondage. Not only that, he can be elevated to the transcendental kingdom. So it gives both. That is the glory of chanting. That's why devotees say, Radhanath Maharaj said this, 99% of our spiritual life depends on how the quality of our chanting. So we must pay great attention to the chanting. Then reading scriptures every single day will help us to cleanse our heart and make us towards, go towards Krishna and worshipping the Lord, performing, services, praying sincerely. Prabhupada would go to the deities and pray sincerely. And serving the devotees and lordships. The temple, all the temples give us plenty of opportunities for us to serve. And all the services are given equal importance. As much as we give importance to deity worship, we also give importance to cleaning, serving, cooking, everything. And everything is crucial. Everything is very important. So by doing all these things, especially, which we all love, honoring Prasadam, by all this is a perfect program, practice Prabhupada gave us. By following this, we can not only be free from all the mental health issues, our mental health will be very stable, and more importantly, we gain the spiritual benefits. We get the pure love of God by following this process. So, again, summarizing, the 3 tips for good mental health is having very good association, good company, and then making positive choices every day, every time. And third one is having a spiritual sadhana or practice, which is very, very important. If we have this GPS, good association, positive choices, and spiritual sadhana, no material things can shake us. No material things can affect us. You will be in a perfect mental health. More importantly, you will make great progress in spiritual life. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity again. Thank you all so much for your attention and time. And since it is 4:52, we'll stop here. We'll pause here. Are there any reflections, any thoughts, any comments would you like to share? Anyone?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Very
Krishna.
nice lecture.
Thank you.
You said that Bhaumasura or Narkasura, despite being the son of Varahaswami and Bhumi Devi, he associated with bad persons like Banasura, and that is why he was a bad person, no, Prabhuji?
Yes.
But in a lecture, I heard that Narakasura had demoniac qualities because Varahaswami did Stri Sangam with Bhudevi and at Asura Sandhya time, and you're not supposed to do things like Stri Sangam, eating and sleeping during Asura Sandhya time because Lord Shiva roams around angrily with his ganas. And this is also what happened to Vishravasu Brahmanu, Prabhuji. So is that also right?
See, there are so many explanations. We actually give utmost importance to Srimad Bhagavatam because Bhagavatam is Grantharaj, that is the king of all scriptures. And Bhagavatam is perfect enough for us to perfect our life. And there are other Puranas give us so many explanations as well. And some of them could be, true also. We may not be, well versed with all those. So from what we understand, yes, it could be possible. But the main reason is because of the association. See, we have seen, if you listen to Indradumna Maharaj's memories, if you type in YouTube, you will listen about a person called Pigpen. Some of you might have heard this. It's about a very inspiring story. Since it is time, we may not have opportunity to say the whole story. It's about a devotee called Rashada Das, who became Rashada Das. But what he was earlier, if you listen to the descriptions, you'll be completely amazed by Prabhupada's costless mercy. Even though he was in such a bad association, who was completely into drugs and he was intoxicated, his speech was completely slurred, he was so dirty, he was completely disheveled, he didn't take bath for weeks. But mercy of Prabhupada for 20 seconds changed his life. And being with devotees, not only he became all right, his speech became all right, he became a very leading Sankirtan leader, he became a very well-known preacher, and everyone respected him. His name is Rashada Prabhu, and many devotees might know him. And Indradumna Maharaj says the story beautifully. How? So the association, whatever state may they be, that's why Prabhupada said he changed the real miraculous, he changed the hippies into happies. So whatever may be the situation, if we have the right association, by the mercy of spiritual master, by the association of devotees who are advanced, definitely we can move towards the positive side. It is very much possible.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
How did he get into the association of Banasura, even though he was the illustrious son of Varahadev and Bhumi Devi?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid that I may not know the exact details. From what I've heard is, Banasura, after having these powers, he did so much long penances and austerities, and he acquired benediction from Lord Shiva. He got 1,000 arms, and he was so dear to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva would always stand for his side like that. So all these qualities, generally, material opulences attract people who are materially minded. So when we think about this material fame, material strength, material, all these things attracted Bhaumasura because he was in that consciousness. He was all the time trying to, satisfy his own needs, satisfy his senses. This is the problem. When we are not regulated, Ragadeshva Muktaisa Vishayan Indriyascharan. What happens if we don't follow the regulative principles? Then we cannot come out of this. It's not possible. So when he didn't follow any regulative principles, when he was going astray with his senses, behind his senses, that led him to wrong association. That's what happened, right? When the children don't listen, they end up in the wrong association. That's why we need to provide as a parent enough love, enough care, so that they don't go away. So this is my humble understanding, but I could be wrong. Maybe some other devotees can join. They can share their inputs.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, I have a question. You talked about association. So does that mean that the devotees should cut themselves completely from non-devotee association?
Very nice question, Prabhu. Very nice. Nectar of instruction, give us clear instructions about that. See, what do we mean by association? We need to understand there are times we have to associate with people who are materialistic, maybe in our jobs, in other places. But what we mean is we don't take their association, rather we give our association. That is what is sharing Krishna consciousness. Preaching Krishna conscious sharing is we talk to people and actually help them to elevate their consciousness. So we may have to associate with them so that we can help them to become Krishna consciousness. So giving association is perfectly fine. But if we take association and get influenced by their material opulences, that's where is the problem. So association, giving to people who are materialistic carefully. It has to be done under the guidance of senior devotees, because sometimes due to over enthusiasm, now we might venture out few things, and if you are not strong enough, Maya is very strong. Daivihesha gunamayi mama maya durataya. Krishna says his Maya is very strong. Why? Because it is divine energy. Mamyavaye prabhadyante maya metam taradate. If we surrender to Krishna, he will help us to overcome that. So we need devotees' help, guidance all the time. However big we are, we need devotees' guidance. We need devotee friendship, devotee guidance, so that they can tell us, okay, yeah, I think what you're doing is fine, proceed with that. They will guide us. In that way, we can move forward. Does that help, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more I can ask if there are no other questions.
Yeah, we have 2 minutes, Prabhu. This may
Yes.
be the last
So,
question. Yeah,
yes,
go ahead.
Prabhu. This question is around time. So given our current situation, work, and if we have kids, and if both parents are working, there's always seems like shortage of time. So any guidance? What's the best way to follow the GPS program?
Time management is a wide topic, but let me say with my whatever humble understanding I have, I'll try to say time management, right, Prabhu? All of us have enough time, truly speaking, if we manage our time. How do we do that? Some practical tips is if we go to bed early, if we sleep early, then we wake up early. When we wake up early, we get ample time for our spiritual practices. We know ISKCON Connecticut also, you have this morning program calls. The devotees wake up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and they finish all their rounds. Then they do the morning program. Once we finish our chanting and the morning program, you will feel that, wow, I have so much time. So much time you can do for reading and many things. And also what happens when gradually we are practicing Krishna consciousness, Param drastva nivartate. Because of the higher taste, the lower things will gradually go away. Our taste for watching movies, listening to mundane music, all these things will gradually go away because we are getting higher taste. We are enjoying kirtan. We are relishing Krishna Prasad like that. So when we get the higher taste, the lower taste will slowly, gradually go away. So in that case, so imagine some of us may be watching TV for 4 or 5 hours before, but now we have that 4 or 5 hours in hand. Even after doing spiritual practice, we have ample time so that we can work. So we need to understand that Gopal Krishna Maharaj says this. Don't work so hard that you cannot practice devotional service. You need to be smart in such a way that you have enough time, provide nicely for the family, at the same time, give enough time for devotional service. These are my some humble thoughts, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. And since it is 5 o'clock, I would stop here and beg forgiveness if I said anything inappropriate. Please forgive me as your humble servant. And once again, I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Thank you so much, Pyari Mohan Prabhuji. I sincerely seek your blessings. Thank you so much, Jiva Mataji. I sincerely seek your blessings falling at your divine lotus feet. I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much. Sorry we missed most of your class. We were on calls and my husband was on a conference, but thank you so much. What I heard was wonderful. Please come again.
Thank you, Mataji, with your blessings. I'm your servant. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Ka Shobha Shiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Ka Shobha Jahana Vitata Bane Jagamana Lobha Navitata Bane Jagamana Lobha Dakine Nitai Jan Kame Gadadhara Dakine Nitai Kame Gadadhara Nikate Advaita Srini Vasachhatradhara Nikate Advaita Srini Vasachhatradhara Gosiyache Gaurachan Ratna Singhasani Gosiyache Gaurachan Ratna Singhasani Arati Karena Brahma Adi Deva Gane Arati Karena Brahma Adi Deva Gane Nara Hari Adi Kore Chamara Dhulaya Nara Hari Adi Kore Chamara Dhulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Bashu Goshadigaya Sanjaya Mukunda Basu Goshadigaya Shankha Baje Ghanta Baje Baje Kartala Shankha Baje Ghanta Baje
ब्रह्मचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्यता देशतारिणे
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य
प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद
श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद
अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर
भक्तवृंद
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे
हरे राम
राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण कृष्ण
हरे हरे
हरे राम राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama
Hari Haraye Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama
Hare Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama
Hari Haraye Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan
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 Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan
Girdhari Gopinath Madana Mohan
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jagannath Swami Nayana Pathagami Bhava Tume
Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Bhava Tume
Jagannath Swami Nayana Pathagami Bhava Tume
Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Bhava Tume
Jagannath Swami Nayana Pathagami Bhava Tume
Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Bhava Tume
Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra
Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra
Jaya Radha Path Sati Radha Path Sati Radhe
Jaya Radha Path Sati Radha Path Sati Radhe
Jaya Radha Sham Sundar Radha Sham Sundar Radhe
Jaya Radha Sham Sundar Radha Sham Sundar Radhe
Jaya Radha
Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabrajakacharya Asatara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Shilabai Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabrajakacharya Asatara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Srimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai, Lord Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gauranitai Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gauranitai Ki Jai, Lord Nrsimha Deva Ki Jai, Shri Shalagram Shilas Ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhaktavinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Who is chanting Narasimha Arti?
Yes, Prabhu, we are ready. I don't know, there's some video issue.
Something is in the camera, Mataji. I think you can open, maybe in the laptop.
I don't know where the camera is.
Okay, Mataji, you can start. No problem.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Pralada lada daine. Pralada lada daine. Pralada lada daine. Pralada lada daine. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. 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 Shilatankanakalaye. 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 Itone simha paratone simha. Itone simho paratone simho. Itone simha paratone simha. Itone simho paratone simho. Yato yato yami tatone simha. Yato yato yami tatone simho. Yato yato yami tatone simho. Yato yato yami tatone simho. Mahine simho hridayine simho. Mahine simho hridayine simho. Mahine simho hridayine simho. Mahine simho hridayine simho. Narasimhamadim charanam prabhate. Narasimhamadim charanam prapade. Narasimhamadim charanam prapade. Narasimhamadim charanam prapade. Navakara kamalavare nakham adbhuta singha.
Dalita Hiranyakasipu Tanubingam Keshavadritam Narahari Rupam Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Tavakara Kamalavare Naksam Adbuddha Shingam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringham Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Avakara Kamalavare Nakham Adbhuta Shingam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringham Keshavadritam Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Tavakara Kamalavare Nakham Adbhuta Shingam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringham Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha 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 Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Bhakta Prahlad Bhakta Prahlad Jaya 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 Bhakta Prahlad Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Shri Shri Lakshmi Narasimhadev Bhagwan ki Jai Bhakta Prahlad ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Rasraj Prabhu, I'm going to share my screen.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for the Sunday program this evening. I want to start by thanking Kadambakanana Prabhu and Hemangi Gopi Mataji. Prabhuji gave an excellent class today, and I'm using Dhanya Gopi's computer today, so it's really fumbling with this slideshow. Okay, yeah, now it's working. How do I move? Okay, now better. So thank you very much, Kadambakanana Prabhu, for the wonderful class this evening. Both Kadambakanana Prabhu and Hemangi Gopi Mataji are very humble. So I knew that they will not share one piece of information from the introduction. Dev Prabhu did the introduction today. That Raga Sindhu Prabhu and Vallabhi Gopi Mataji joined through their Bhakti Vriksha program in Gainesville, Florida. So can you please unmute yourself and give a loud Hari Bol for Kadambakanana Prabhu and Hemangi Gopi Mataji?
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji.
So Kadambakanana Prabhu, Raga Sindhu Prabhu is our Gundicha Marjan head, which means that he is in charge for temple cleaning, and just thinking of all the cleaning that we would have to do if he wasn't here gives me a fear in the heart. So I'm just very happy they joined. I mean, they both do a lot of services, but they've been very instrumental in helping keep our facilities clean, and they both have been very instrumental in very active Bhakti Vriksha program in the Connecticut region themselves. They both very humble devotee family, and I have to say that we also have the honor of having them as our neighbors. So thank you again, Kadam Kanan Prabhu, for the class today and all your efforts, and for giving us Raga Sindhu Prabhu and Vallavi Gopi also.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. All glories to Prabhupada.
All glories to Prabhupada. So moving on with the announcements, we have Raman Behel Prabhu and his family are sponsoring today for his aunt Anuj Behel, who passed away a few days ago. I spoke to Anisha this afternoon and I wanted to know about her aunt. And Anisha said that if she had to describe, Mrs. Anuj Behel in one sentence, then she would have said that she was a very simple lady who lived her life with very high moral values. And again, Anisha also being humble said, Mataji, this would be enough, but I think I'll just share very quickly a little bit more, because some of the qualities she described are characteristics that as devotees we all aspire for. She was a very simple lady. She would wake up early in the morning, take her bath, do her morning prayers, and cook for the entire household. And it was a joint family, so Raman Prabhu's parents, and Raman Prabhu his sister, and Raman Prabhu's dad's younger brother and his wife and their two children, son and daughter. So 8 people lived together in this household. They had a cow till about a few months ago in this household as well. The men in the family took care of the cow, and Mrs. Anuj Behel, she supported them in taking care of this cow. She would cook for the entire household, and she never asked anybody for anything. She was happy in just serving her family members. And again, very important thing, Anisha told me she never chit chatted, she never gossiped. Such an important thing. Even as practicing devotees, the amount of time sometimes we spend in prajalpa. So when I heard this from Anisha, and I was kind of struck with awe and reverence that very high values, with no expectation from others. And Anisha used one more word, that she was a yes lady. She never said no to anybody, and tolerated even difficult situations. She had diabetes. She was sick for some time and was admitted in the hospital with multiple organ failure. And in the past, she had kind of come out of it, but this time looks like Krishna wanted to end her time here on this planet. So please keep Mrs. Anuj Behel in your thoughts and prayers. Please keep Raman Prabhu's family in your thoughts and prayers, and please pray to the Lordships that he can take this soul in his shelter. A few upcoming announcements. Next Sunday, January 24th, is Ekadashi. It is recommended that we fast from grains, beans, peas. The idea is to minimize the needs of the body and increase our absorption in devotional activities. Again, continuing with that thought, every Ekadashi, we have our Ekadashi Kirtan, Bhajan and Kirtan program. And for Sunday, January 24th, it will be from 6 to 7 p.m. So as soon as the Sunday program is over, we won't conclude the program. We will lead into the Ekadashi Kirtan starting at 6 p.m. And this includes both bhajans and kirtans. So I don't have any more additional announcements or calendar events to share. So Rasraj Prabhu, I believe we can have chanting for the for our program sponsors now.
Can we start, Mataji?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead, Vallavi Gopi.
Thank you, Mataji.
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय सॉरी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Nita Gaur Premanande.
Hari Bol.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Mrs. Anuj Behel ki.
Jai.
Raman Behel and family sponsoring for Mrs. Anuj Behel ki.
Jai.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pyare Prabhu, for the close-up darshan today. And thank you, everybody. Evening. Okay. Very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.